Hello, welcome to the Get Started video for singers. You might wonder why I have a garden hose on a singing video. I was walking around the other day, I was trying to figure out a simple way of sharing how singing works with someone who's never really tried to do it before. We have to use our imagination a little bit because I don't want to fill my living room with water. But when you turn on the hose, and the water comes out, the water coming out, you can think of that a little bit like breathing. Then there's kind of a fun game. If you take your thumb and you put it across the top of it while the water's coming out, it'll start to shoot a lot further, right? And if you cover it more and more, the pressure gets more and then it shoots farther. So with the voice, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to create higher notes and lower notes. The higher notes have the muscles a little closer together, and then the air pressure has this slight increase. Where a lot of people get a little bit confused and frustrated is they think that the breathing part is like wildly different than when you talk. When I used to share singing with 3 and 4-year-olds, one of the things we used to do is we used to take a word like banana, and then when you got to the end of the word, instead of stopping it, you just kept the air going, you kept the water going. Banana, right? So the sustaining of the sound is singing. Sustaining in one place creates a pitch, higher or lower, right? And one of the things that happens is that you learn how to have a slightly elevated pressure, but not all that much. And then you learn how to take good breaths. And the thing to kind of keep in mind is that you want the water to go out all the time. The choir director who has our church choir where I play piano, she's very, very good at recognizing when the choir members are not letting the air come out. She says you have to continue to exhale when you sing. And that takes a little bit of practice. In the instrumental getting started, I talked about this idea where you play a note and then you count the beats underneath, and that's doing 2 things at once. With good singing, you want the air to flow, so you have to be thinking a little bit about the flow of the air, and then you're also thinking about the high notes, the low notes, and then, of course, getting words to work. is part of it as well. So when you go to do the warm-ups, what I'd suggest that you consider is that you take an inhalation on the 4th beat, which is the beat right before you start. So that's the note, right? It's 1, 2, ready, breathe. Ah, and then ah, right? And if you breathe deep between every note, you can make yourself dizzy. So keep in mind that the breathing of singing is a little bit elevated beyond what you would do normally, but not nearly as much as people think. Then when you get into the faster notes of the warm-ups, when you need to take a breath, just like bow out and then come back in where the exercise goes. It's not intended for you to sing all the way through, all the way through. It hardly ever works. And all of you have different levels of support and breath and how long you can hold it comfortably. So just come in and come out whenever you feel like it and make it as natural as you can. Okay? So when you get to the echo, one of the things that you can do is you can start to make up your own echo. Then you decide how many notes, how fast they go, how high, how low. You decide. And you can use a range of notes that is very comfortable for you to sing. When you do the jam is the idea that you actually make up your own. And so you can use what's there on the recordings. And I would encourage you to have this little warm-up routine. The scale will work for you very well if you leave it as it is, and you learn to sort of memorize that pretty quick, because it's just 5 notes and then 6, and then it goes to 8, and then it moves around a bit later on. But basically it's just those 8 notes. And then when you do your echo, make it up yourself, and then do a little bit of the jam. When you're doing that, what you're really doing is you're starting to experiment with the musical words, and then when you go to the song, you'll see things in a specific order. So this note for this long, and then you jump here and you change the words this way. It's very specific, right? So if you start with the warm-ups, you're going to have your musical vocabulary, and then you add the lyrics to it. Make sense? Thank you for joining me.